The year of our Lord, 1389. A year that would be remembered for centuries to come, not just in the annals of history, but in the hearts and minds of those who lived through its trials and tribulations. It was a time when the world seemed to teeter on the edge of chaos and the fate of nations hung in the balance. A year etched in blood and fire. The skies themselves seemed to weep for the carnage that unfolded below, as if the heavens were mourning the loss of so many souls. The air was thick with the acrid smell of smoke and the cries of the wounded, a symphony of suffering that echoed across the land. The Balkans, a land of rugged beauty, trembled under the Ottoman shadow. Its mountains and valleys, once serene and untouched, now bore witness to the march of an empire. The people of this land, proud and resilient, found themselves caught in the crosshairs of a conflict that would shape their destiny. Sultan Murad, with his vast army, had come to extinguish the light of Serbia. His ambition knew no bounds and his eyes were set on conquest. The Ottoman forces, disciplined and relentless, moved like a tidal wave, sweeping away all in their path. Murad's presence was a harbinger of doom, a dark cloud that loomed over the horizon. Fear, a venomous serpent, coiled in the hearts of men. It slithered through the ranks, whispering tales of despair and defeat. The uncertainty of the future gnawed at their resolve, and the weight of impending doom pressed heavily upon their shoulders. Yet, in the face of such overwhelming dread, there was a spark that refused to be extinguished. But hope, fierce and unyielding, still flickered. It was a beacon in the darkness, a reminder that even in the bleakest of times, there was something worth fighting for. The soldiers, though weary and battle-worn, clung to this hope with all their might. It was the light that guided them through the shadows, the fire that fueled their courage. It burned brightest in the souls of Serbian warriors, ready to lay down their lives for their faith, their families, and their freedom. These men, bound by duty and honor, stood as the last line of defense against the encroaching darkness. Their determination was a testament to the strength of the human spirit, a defiance that would not be easily crushed. Kosovo Polje, the field of blackbirds, a name that would be forever etched in the annals of history. This vast expanse of land, now shrouded in an eerie silence, was the stage for a confrontation that would determine the fate of a nation. The blackbirds, ominous and foreboding, circled above as if sensing the gravity of the events about to unfold. An ominous name for a battle that would decide the fate of a nation. The ground beneath their feet seemed to pulse with the weight of history, as if the very earth itself was aware of the significance of this moment. The tension in the air was palpable, a silent prelude to the storm of conflict that was about to break. Prince Lazar Hrebeljanović, the Serbian Tsar, rode among his men. His presence was a source of strength and inspiration, a living symbol of their cause. As he moved through the ranks, he offered words of encouragement and solace, reminding them of the righteousness of their struggle. His leadership was a beacon of hope in the midst of despair. His face, etched with worry, held a resolute calm. The weight of responsibility bore heavily upon him, but he did not waver. His eyes, though shadowed with concern, burned with a fierce determination. He knew that the outcome of this battle would shape the future of his people, and he was prepared to make the ultimate sacrifice for their sake. He knew the odds were stacked against them. The disparity in numbers was staggering, a seemingly insurmountable obstacle. Yet in the face of such overwhelming adversity, there was a steely resolve that refused to be broken. The Serbian forces, though outnumbered, were united in their purpose, driven by a shared sense of duty and honor. The Turkish horde outnumbered them 10-1. The sheer scale of the Ottoman army was a sight to behold, a testament to the might of an empire. Their ranks stretched as far as the eye could see, a sea of soldiers ready to unleash their fury. But numbers alone would not determine the outcome of this battle. It was a clash of wills, a test of courage and conviction. But Lazar also knew this. On this field, courage would be their shield, and faith their sword. The Serbian warriors, though facing insurmountable odds, drew strength from their unwavering belief in their cause. They raised their shields and offered prayers, seeking divine guidance and protection. In their hearts, they carried the hope of a nation, a hope that would not be easily extinguished. In the Serbian camp, heroes gathered, their faces grim, their spirits high. The air was thick with anticipation and the scent of burning wood. Each warrior knew the gravity of the battle that lay ahead, a battle that would determine the fate of their homeland. Milos Obilic, loyal and fearless, the finest warrior in Lazar's army, bore the weight of a secret mission. His eyes, sharp and focused, betrayed no fear, only a steely determination. He was chosen for a task that could change the course of history. To strike at the heart of the Ottoman beast, to kill Sultan Murad. This mission was not just a test of his skill, but of his courage and loyalty. The dagger he carried was not just a weapon, but a symbol of hope for his people. His resolve was iron, but a sliver of doubt pierced his heart. He wondered if he would succeed, if his sacrifice would be enough to turn the tide of war. The weight of his responsibility was immense, but he knew he could not falter. Would his sacrifice be enough? The question echoed in his mind, a constant reminder of the stakes. He looked to the sky, seeking strength and guidance from the heavens.
Would my sacrifice be enough? The thought lingered, a shadow over his unwavering resolve. He knew that the answer would only come with the dawn of battle.
Vuk Brankovic, Lazar's son-in-law, a man of ambition and cunning, surveyed the battlefield with a calculating gaze. His mind was a whirlwind of strategies and possibilities. He was a man torn between duty and desire, loyalty and ambition. He loved Serbia, but whispers of betrayal followed him like shadows. Every step he took was watched, every decision scrutinized. The burden of leadership weighed heavily on his shoulders. The weight of his decision, to stand with Lazar or seize power for himself, pressed down on him. He knew that whatever choice he made would have far-reaching consequences, not just for himself, but for all of Serbia. The fate of Serbia hung in the balance, and Vuk held the scales. The sword in his hand was not just a weapon, but a symbol of his power and responsibility. He knew that the time for decision was near.
The fate of Serbia hangs in the balance, a delicate equilibrium that could tip with the slightest push. The battlefield stretched out before him, a canvas of potential triumph or disaster. And I hold the scales. The weight of this realization was almost too much to bear, but he knew that he could not waver. The future of his people depended on his strength and resolve.
The day before the battle, a tense silence fell over the two armies. The air crackled with anticipation. The Serbian priests led the men in prayer, their voices echoing across the field, a solemn chorus of defiance.
Remember what we fight for, our homes, our families, our faith, our very existence.
Across the battlefield, the Ottoman camp pulsed with the rhythmic beat of drums. The air vibrated with the chanting of muezzins calling the faithful to prayer.
We will crush them, add their lands to our ever-growing empire.
Sultan Murad, confident of victory, cared little for the fate of these Serbian infidels. He would crush them, add their lands to his ever-growing empire. Dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of blood orange and violet. The silence shattered, giving way to the ominous sounds of an impending battle. The air was thick with tension, every soldier knowing that today could be their last. The Turkish war drums roared to life, their deep, resonant beats echoing across the battlefield. Each thud was a call to arms, a signal that the time for battle had come. The rhythm was relentless, a heartbeat of war that stirred the blood of every warrior present. The Ottoman army, a tidal wave of steel and fury, surged forward. Their banners fluttered in the wind, a sea of red and gold. The ground trembled under the weight of their advance, a force of nature that seemed unstoppable. Their war cries filled the air, a symphony of determination and rage. The Serbian lines held a bulwark against the onslaught. The clash was deafening, steel kissed steel, sparks flying with each impact. The defenders stood firm, their faces set in grim determination. They knew the stakes and they were prepared to give their all to protect their homeland. Men roared, screamed and died. The battlefield was a cacophony of chaos, a brutal dance of life and death. Blood stained the earth and the air was thick with the scent of sweat and fear. Every moment was a struggle, every breath a victory.
Cloaked in the chaos of battle, I slipped through enemy lines. The smoke and dust provided cover, masking my movements as I navigated the deadly maze of combat. Each step was a calculated risk, every shadow a potential threat. My heart pounded against my ribs, a war drum urging me forward. The adrenaline coursed through my veins, sharpening my senses. I could hear the clash of swords, the cries of the wounded, but I focused on my mission. Determination etched on my face, I pressed on. I reached the Sultan's tent, guarded by a ring of janissaries. My moment had come. The guards were vigilant, their eyes scanning the battlefield for any threat. I knew I had to be swift and silent, a shadow in the night. The tension was palpable, every second stretching into an eternity. With a warrior's fury, I cut them down, each swing of my sword bringing me closer to my goal. The janissaries were formidable opponents, their skills honed by years of training, but I fought with the desperation of a man with nothing to lose. Each strike was precise, each movement a testament to my resolve. Finally, I stood before Murad. Our eyes met, a silent exchange of wills. In that moment, time seemed to stand still. The noise of the battle faded into the background and it was just the two of us, locked in a deadly dance. His gaze was steely, unyielding, but so was mine. Then I struck, burying my blade in the Sultan's heart. The world seemed to hold its breath as the life drained from his eyes. It was over in an instant, yet it felt like an eternity. The weight of my actions settled on my shoulders, but there was no time for reflection. The battle raged on and I had to survive.
Murad's death sent a shockwave through the Ottoman ranks. Confusion rippled through their lines. The tide seemed to turn. Seeing the Ottoman falter, Vuk Brankovic, his face a mask of cold fury, made his choice. He would honor his oath, defend his homeland.
With a roar that shook the heavens, I led my contingent of cavalry, the finest horsemen in Serbia, in a devastating charge.
The Serbian knights, their lances lowered, slammed into the Ottoman flank with the force of a thunderbolt. They carved through the enemy ranks, their fury a whirlwind of death. The Ottoman lines, already wavering, buckled under the ferocity of the Serbian assault. Panic spread through their ranks like wildfire. The tide had turned. Inspired by Obelik's sacrifice and Brankovic's charge, the Serbian forces fought with the fury of cornered wolves. They pushed back against the invaders, inch by bloody inch. The Ottoman army, leaderless and demoralized, began to crumble. Their retreat soon turned into a rout. The sun, a golden orb in the heavens, witnessed a sight that defied belief. The mighty Ottoman Empire humbled on the field of battle. The Serbian soldiers, exhausted but exhilarated, watched the enemy flee. Victory was theirs, bought with the blood of heroes. Kosovo, soaked in blood, echoed with the triumphant shouts of Serbian warriors. They had faced the storm and emerged victorious.